Raphael Hui found guilty of 5 of 8 corruption-related charges. Xi Jinping in Macau for handover anniversary celebrations. And the White House calls Sony hacking attack a matter of national security.
Good evening. We begin with the much-anticipated verdict in the corruption trial of former Chief Secretary for Administration Raphael Hui and the top executives of Sun Hung Kai Properties. Hui and the developer's joint chairman, Thomas Kwok, were found guilty of some of the charges they faced. Thomas Kwok's brother, Raymond, was acquitted. Stephanie Choi has our top story tonight.
Judgment Day in what's dubbed Hong Kong's largest corruption trial. After days of deliberations, the jury found former Chief Secretary for Administration Raphael Hui and Sun Hung Kai Properties joint chairman Thomas Kwok guilty of some of their charges. Hui was found guilty of 5 of 8 corruption-related charges. Thomas Kwok was convicted of 1 of 3 charges. Another Sun Hung Kai Properties joint chairman Raymond Kwok was acquitted of all 4 charges he faced. Sun Hung Kai Properties Executive Director Thomas Chan was found guilty of the 2 charges he faced. Former Stock Exchange Executive Francis Kwan was also found guilty of the 2 charges he faced. Hui was found guilty of 3 counts of misconduct in public office. The jury unanimously decided that the former Chief Secretary for Administration and Thomas Kwok were not guilty of 1 count of conspiracy to commit misconduct in public office. Hui and Raymond Kwok were found not guilty of 1 count of conspiracy to commit misconduct in public office. The pair were also acquitted of 1 count of furnishing false information. On a charge of conspiracy to commit misconduct in public office that all 5 defendants had faced, Hui, Thomas Kwok, Chan and Kwan were found guilty, while Raymond Kwok was found not guilty. All 5 defendants also faced 1 count of conspiracy to offer advantages to a public servant. Hui, Chan and Kwan were found guilty, while the Kwok brothers were found not guilty. Hui, Chan, Kwan and Thomas Kwok have been remanded in custody until Monday's mitigation hearing, while Raymond Kwok is a free man tonight. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
The judge will hear mitigation from lawyers on Monday before proceeding to the sentencing of the 4 defendants. Meanwhile, the ICAC says the case shows its determination to maintain Hong Kong's clean reputation. More on that from Rani Samtani.
Raymond Kwok walked out of court a free man today. He said although he's finally been proven innocent, he was very unhappy that his brother Thomas Kwok and his friend Thomas Chan were found guilty. He said he will support his brother and his family, while he also thanked his own family and friends. As for Raphael Hui, he has become the most senior former government official to be found guilty in court. During the trial, the prosecution accused Hui of accepting many sweeteners from the Kwok brothers to be their eyes and ears in government. Hui admitted that he received millions of dollars from Thomas Kwok and Sun Hung Kai Properties, but claimed it was payment for the consultancy work he did for them. The court also heard that Hui was a lavish spender and would often treat guests to meals that cost an average of $20,000 to $30,000. And his wine collection was estimated to be worth $7 million. Now the judge will hear mitigation from lawyers on Monday before sentencing Hui, Thomas Kwok, Francis Kwan and Thomas Chan. Thomas Kwok could face a maximum prison sentence of 7 years. The prosecution also asked the judge to consider if a disqualification ordinance would be appropriate to remove Thomas Kwok and Thomas Chan as directors of Sun Hung Kai Properties. For their service during the long trial, the judge granted the 9 jurors double the daily allowance and has exempted them from 5 years of jury service. In a statement, the ICAC said the case shows the anti-graft agency continues to stand firm in its determination to fight corruption in Hong Kong. The ICAC also says it will strictly follow the law in handling its cases, regardless of the background and status of those involved. Rani Samtani, TVB News.
On to some other news now. President Xi Jinping has arrived in Macau to attend celebrations marking the 15th anniversary of its handover. She said the enclave will continue to prosper, guided by the one country, two systems principle. Liz Yoon reports.
Xi Jinping's plane touched down at around noon today. The President and First Lady Peng Liyuan were welcomed by Macau Chief Executive Fernando Choi and his predecessor Edmund Ho. Xi was accompanied by a number of central government officials, such as Wang Guangya, Director of the State Council's Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office.
一国两制和基本法
Besides sending his blessings and best wishes to the people of Macau, Xi said he believes the city will progress in a steady manner and be on the right track under the guidance of one country, two systems and the Basic Law. Later, Xi met with Choi and other top Macau officials and visited a local family. Tomorrow, the president will attend the inauguration ceremony of the fourth-term Macau SAR government, as well as celebrations marking of the 15th anniversary of Macau's return to China. Xi also met with Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying, who is in Macau to attend the handover celebrations. Leung will be in Beijing next week for his duty visit. Meanwhile, 14 members of the League of Social Democrats, including lawmaker Leung Kwok-hong, made their way to Macau this morning. They held yellow umbrellas and shouted slogans after they arrived. The group urged the National People's Congress Standing Committee to retract its framework governing Hong Kong's political reform. They were denied entry and returned to Hong Kong. Liz Yun, TVB News.
Turning overseas now, European Union leaders have warned Russia they're prepared to escalate action against the country's wounded economy if it doesn't pull back from Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin, meanwhile, warned that the West cannot declaw the metaphorical Russian bear. Alan Buckner reports.
European leaders meeting in Brussels discussed a long-term strategy to deal with Russia. They enacted previously agreed to new sanctions, but made no move to further escalate measures. But the new president of the group's European Council also warned Russia that they are prepared to go further.
We must go beyond being reactive and defensive. As Europeans, we must regain our self-confidence and realize our own strength.
But the leaders also indicated they were ready to ease sanctions if Putin implements a peace deal made with Ukraine in September in Minsk.
The door is always open if Russia changes its behavior, if it allows the Ukrainian people to exercise their choice and their sovereignty and to decide their own future, if it takes Russian troops out of Ukraine and it obeys all of the strictures of the Minsk agreement, these sanctions can go.
The meeting came after Putin's annual news conference in Moscow yesterday. Putin was defiant and said the sanctions slapped on Russia were all part of a historic campaign to weaken the country.
He reiterated his stance that the West, the evil West, is to blame for the current Russian economic woes. He reiterated again quite firmly that he does not regret anything, that he never made any mistakes.
Russia's economy is being dragged down by low world oil prices and a currency that was battered early this week. The ruble stabilized after the central bank took action to raise interest rates and sell foreign currency, but it's still down more than 50% from January. Putin said it could take 2 years for a full economic recovery. Alan Buckner, TVB News.
Sony is facing a firestorm of criticism for cancelling the release of a major Hollywood movie over pressure from alleged North Korean hackers who threatened terror attacks on filmgoers. But the White House defends Sony's decision, calling the cyber attack a matter of national security. Sonia Terra reports.
Sony hackers are vowing a 9/11-style attack on moviegoers who dare to see The Interview.
You want us to kill the leader of North
Then
Korea?
there's tens of millions of dollars in losses from leaks by hackers that attack Sony over its movie that spoofs an assassination of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Couple that with yanking the film from its Christmas Day launch will set Sony back the $44 million it sunk into the flick.
They can either take the financial hit, or if they released to the theaters and God forbid there was some attack, can you imagine what would happen then?
Plus, Hollywood stars whose emails were leaked might sue or take their talent to studios with stronger cybersecurity. Airing the movie was a risk Sony just wasn't willing to take. So Hollywood actors like Ben Stiller and Steve Carell tweeted their disgust. Actress Mia Farrow called Sony a disgrace. And actor Rob Lowe said the hackers won because Sony caved in. But the White House defended Sony, yet wouldn't confirm if North Korea was responsible. Top investigators are treating it as a serious national security matter.
There is evidence to indicate that we have seen destructive activity with malicious intent that was initiated by a sophisticated actor. And it is being treated by those investigative agencies, both at the FBI and the Department of Justice.
This North Korean defector confirmed Pyongyang has a sophisticated cyber warfare cell called Bureau 121 that can kill people without a trace. But brave moviegoers still want to see the film.
No, actually, I think Sony should release the film regardless.
I wouldn't let anything like that stop me from seeing it.
Sonia Artero, TVB News.
And still to come in the news tonight. 4 new territories plots of land to go on sale in the next quarter. 8 children found dead in northern Australian home. And Juventus showing the way in the Serie A.
Why are seriously ill mental patients being denied treatment and then discharged when they could be a danger to themselves or others? Also, the cruel realities of the Syrian civil war and ways to counteract the digital distractions. Saturday night, 60 Minutes at 6:30 on Pearl.
飛利浦 Sonicare 特有專利聲波科技，釋出嘅液體清潔動力能深入罅隙，潔齒更徹底。飛利浦 Sonicare 聲波震動牙刷。
Innovation and you. Philips.
This is the new iPhone 6.
And this is the new iPhone 6 Plus.
The camera has been utterly reimagined.
Utterly reimagined.
Its slow-mo is slower than ever before. Its time-lapse can turn hours into seconds.
Hours into seconds.
Image stabilization helps keep everything smooth.
Smooth. Oh my word, that's smooth.
The big new iPhones are here, and their cameras are better than ever.
That's smoother than a baby's
complexion. Yeah?
Get the best for your smartphone with 3 Hong Kong's high-speed 4G LTE network. Better surfing, better streaming, better performance as tested by 2 computer magazines. With 16,000 hotspots, it's the largest in town. It's better at 3.
吞唔吞到啊？飲啖水沖落去啦，得唔得？
試下拍檔飯啦。啊！
吞唔吞到啊？唔得啊！
等我嚟！
過落，過落，過落，過落，過落，過落，過落，過落，過落。
咁大粒藥，細路點識吞啊？幸福為你行多步，兒童幸福傷風感冒素，容易食易吸收，果子味仲唔會蛀牙㗎。幸福為你行多步。
The time now is 7:44. The time check was brought to you by Seiko.
Welcome back to TVB News. Now, first, an update to our top story. Sun Hung Kai Properties has announced the resignation of Thomas Kwok as Executive Director, Chairman and Managing Director, and the resignation of Thomas Chan as Executive Director. Now, the government today announced its land sale program for the January to March period. 4 plots in the new territories will be put on sale, and they could generate 1,500 flats. Owen Fung reports.
The